Hi Aries, welcome to your September 2025 forecast. So on the 25th of August, Saturn moved back into Pisces. Saturn definitely likes being in Pisces more than it likes being in Aries. In Aries, there's a bit of struggle, friction, and a lot of frustration. So with it being in Pisces now, the energy softens a little bit. You're probably able to, daydream a little bit more. The sense of pressure to get things done or to have definite direction or answers for everything is no longer the case. You're not really fighting your way through whatever it is that you may be dealing with. Now, Saturn in your chart rules your 10th house and it also rules your 11th house. So this energy may be related to your work, career, your public image, reputation, as well as your relationship with like the larger community that you belong within. So there's just a bit of softening, a bit of letting go and going with the flow. Whereas, in August and before, the Aries energy would have been a bit more assertive, feeling like you need to fight or defend or protect, because Aries is a Mars ruled sign. And Pisces is a Jupiter ruled sign, which is a lot more expansive, giving, and optimistic. So there is a lot of shift in energy this month. You're not, like I said, fighting. You can just let things flow with a bit more ease. But Neptune is still in your first house, which can obviously create a bit of confusion. You may feel like you're just not sure where you are headed. The path forward is just a little bit unclear. We're starting off September with the sun in Virgo. It is Virgo season, which is traveling through your sixth house. So you may be focused on enhancing or tightening your daily routines. You may even have a bit more intentional goals set in place for what you want to get accomplished, not just in your work and daily tasks, but just how you maneuver your health routines and just the way you move through your day-to-day life. We also have Venus in Leo. Venus has been in Cancer, where it was spending a lot of time with Jupiter. So that was a very like homey, introspective, emotional, sensitive energy. And Cancer is in your fourth house. So you may have felt, a lot more wanting to stay at home and take care of family and be just a little bit more domestic. But now with Venus in Leo, it is in your fifth house and it has a lot more energy and it wants to be extroverted and be out in the world, a bit of more spontaneity and wanting to have fun and soak up some sun. So just that energy alone is just shifting from more internal at home energy to the external, social, very expressive, out there kind of energy. So, you are a fire sign, and this Venus is trine to your ascendant or sun or moon. This is just a really harmonious energy that gets you a little bit more energy and just passion to be out there in the world experiencing. What else do we have? Let's see. So Jupiter is still in Cancer, moving through your fourth house. So you still have that expansiveness and emotional optimism related to home, family. That's still happening in September. But right now, Jupiter is making a square aspect to Mars in Libra, which is moving through your seventh house. So there can be a little bit of tension here. Mars is obviously debilitated in Libra and it doesn't really like being in Cancer either. It's in its fall in Cancer. So Mars doesn't really like this kind of energy. So it is struggling, which means that there is a bit of tension and struggles and conflict in your one-to-one relationships. So it's probably best if you definitely do stay grounded in your emotional roots and be a bit more self-focused rather than focused on one-to-one relationships. Even though there is a lot of energy and activity going on there, you're just gonna get a lot more out of it if you just stay true to like what's authentic to you in your emotional world. So there's a bit of tension there, but again, it is Jupiter. It's not going to be too crazy, although it can expand, conflict in your one-to-one relationships. But you should be able to maneuver through. And any conflict is gonna, in a way, help you maybe just learn something about yourself, your own emotional needs. It's just going to be a really good way to utilize the energy to take the conflict or tension that you have going on with another person and then just directing it back to yourself and question what that kind of energy means to you personally and how it affects you and what that says about you as an emotional person, because Cancer is your emotional root. It's where you started from. It's who you are deeply, possibly who you are, not even like when you're with other people, but when you're alone. It's who you know yourself to be. So as long as you stay true to yourself, I don't think the other people are gonna cause too much trouble for you. We also have, this has been going on for a long time, but I do want to mention we have that little triangle between Uranus, Pluto, Pluto, and Neptune. But the conversation that Neptune and Uranus are having, first of all, it's happening in your house of communication, third house, and in your house of larger community or social networks. Your 11th house. So I think there is a transformation or change that's trying to come through, maybe in the way you communicate with your communities or your friends. You have a lot of inspiration and a lot of ideas that you probably want to share with other people, but they're both making a sextile aspect to Neptune in your first house, which means that the pressure or the inspiration, possibly even this like erratic desire to express yourself and talk and share information is all being kind of directed to Neptune. So it's the way it's coming out, it's like its outlet is Neptune, which can be a little confusing. You may not make sense to a lot of people, but it's really getting you in touch with the version of you that is dreamy, part of you that feels like anything is possible. And it is a beautifully creative and spiritual energy. So you can get a lot out of your friends or social circles and the ideas that you're having to kind of direct you in your path forward. And with Neptune in your first house, this is like a really strong place for Neptune. It's getting a lot of attention. It's very active because again, it's angular, but it's the house of you. The dreams that kind of like take your energy this month really says a lot about who you are and who you want to be. So I would definitely pay attention to the little, inspirations or desires, cravings, yearnings to be something or someone. There is, I think, the outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune together, I think they can really create some magic there, especially with, Saturn now in Pisces. Saturn isn't really in Neptune's way anymore, like it was when it was in Aries, because Saturn and Neptune in Aries, there was a feeling of like a wall being there. You couldn't see clearly. And even if you could, it was difficult to define what it is that sorry, I just had to replace my battery. So anyway, Neptune can be bringing up a lot of hidden yearnings and desires that you may have that hasn't been getting a lot of attention, but it is now. Again, Pisces is, in a sense, it has a very similar quality to Neptune. So this is also a great time to revisit like old dreams or old wishes of, you know, who you wanted to be or how you wanted to lead your life. So it's a really good time to just kind of illuminate, let things surface from your unconscious, and I honestly believe that Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune, especially with Saturn's help there, has the potential of bringing things from other realms and making almost like the impossible possible. It's, I think, a really magical energy if utilized well and understood, and if you especially work with it. But otherwise, it can just feel very restless, and you can feel a lot of pressure, and you may not even, you know, be able to name or pinpoint exactly what it's trying to do or where you need to go, but just know that something is trying to come to the surface. But this energy and this configuration is going to be happening for the next few months, so you have plenty of time. And as Saturn and Neptune, you know, move back and forth between the end of Pisces and beginning of Aries, you definitely have a lot of opportunity to revisit and kind of like revise the things that it could be trying to manifest. Now let's move on to September 7th. September 7th is when we have our lunar eclipse. And this is basically a full moon, and it's happening between Virgo and Pisces. The moon is in Pisces in your 12th house, and the sun is in Virgo in your 6th house. This is actually, yeah, so eclipse means that the moon is with the north node in Pisces, and the sun is with the south node in Virgo. So again, with moon here in Pisces in your 12th house with the north node, it can bring in a lot of clues and hints about where you're really supposed to be heading towards in this life. Like that greater, larger calling, purpose, passion, just kind of like that soul's desire, that yearning. So a lot of information can come through related to that, since we already also have Saturn activating that area as well. And then in order to go towards this path, if this is something you're interested in, if you want to really, you know, walk the path of walk the path that your soul signed up for in this lifetime, then there are, you know, things that you have to let go of, especially the things that you're attached to on your mundane daily life. The sun in Virgo, with the south node in Virgo, is almost talking about like that need to be productive for sake of productivity. The need to be perfect for the sake of perfection. So like all these ideas you have about what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be doing, and how you're supposed to lead the day-to-day life, there are things that's being asked to let go of, so that you can lean towards not the material reality that, you know, we're all part of, so that you can get in touch with the less obvious, the otherworldly, the messages and hints about your soul's journey. So this full moon lunar eclipse is a really great time to just kind of, you know, spend time with the darker realms of your mind, your subconscious, your unconscious. You can even visit your I was gonna say you can even visit like your thought patterns that kind of like make you who you are and how you show up in the world today. But a thought came up because this is the North Node. It's not something that you're naturally used to or naturally inclined towards. So it does definitely require a lot more effort. However, in the realms of dreams, meditation, things where you're not like actively using your mind and just like sitting in silence and solitude with yourself, that's the time when information would come through. And it might even, because it's Pisces, a water sign, it may not be like actual thoughts, you know, it may be a feeling, the way your body communicates with you, like the emotional body. It would be really interesting to see what comes up there. Let's see. And then from the middle of the month, September 15th on, we do have the Sun and Mercury along with the South Node making an opposition with that Saturn, Neptune, North Node energy. The Sun it's a illuminator, so it brings in a lot of light, meaning that it brings to the surface truth. It brings information to our awareness. So this again, middle of the month and on, can also be a very helpful time if you are trying to figure out what it is that you're going through that you can't quite put your finger on. It's Virgo, it's Mercury is right there, so it will be easier to form the thoughts and, define and put your finger on what it is that Saturn and Neptune is trying to pull you towards. So that is a good energy for you. But of course, it is in opposition, so they're kind of like facing off. So it's not the information that does come through, or the ideas and thoughts that you do have, may not feel like, aha, this is it type of energy. You're probably going to resist it, but just maybe make a note of it and just move on. And then later on, if it comes up again, you may have a different reaction or a different perception of it. And then on the 21st is the solar eclipse, where the moon and the sun meet up. So this time again, it's happening in Virgo, the last degree of Virgo. And basically that means the South Node is also there in Virgo. So this is really asking you to let go of something. The last degree of a sign is always maybe even like the calm before the storm. So some sort of change is about to happen. And because this is happening right between your 6th and 7th house, it shifts from like your daily tasks and routines or the day-to-day basis of your life to your relationships. So maybe the focus is going from, what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and how I can improve and do things better and be more productive, to how I can show up in my relationships in a way that is effective, harmonious, whatever it is, because the next sign is Libra, a sign ruled by Venus, a sign that's all about relationships. So there is probably a need to let go of some sort of control as well, to step into a more harmonious energy, especially in regards to your one-to-one relationships. And solar eclipse is like a huge illumination energy, so you can get more information, a lot more clarity around whatever it is that you may be struggling with due to that Saturn Neptune in your first house. So I think September is gonna be a really eye-opening month for you. I think you will receive a lot of answers. I think you will learn where to let go, sacrifice in order to gain something, where you have realizations about, what you think is impossible for you, versus what you actually learn is probably possible. So it's a month to dream and get a little bit closer to that dream, and especially around clarity too. And then on September 22nd, we have Mars, the ruler of Aries, either your sun, moon, or rising, entering Scorpio. Mars is moving from Libra to Scorpio. Mars did not like being in Libra. It is conflicted. It wants to do one thing and then it gets poured in another direction. There's a lot of hesitation and frustration because of the hesitations that it experienced. It doesn't want to play nice, but in Libra, it's kind of like forced to play nice. So when it moves to Scorpio, it is entering your 8th house, but your action and just momentum forward, your drive, ambitions, the way you exercise your energy outward, physical energy outward, becomes a lot more natural. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so Mars is finally home. Again, you should feel another like sigh of relief and start feeling comfortable in your own skin again. But this, it does also come with tremendous amount of like intensity, because Mars, as it moves into the first couple of degrees of Scorpio, it's square to Pluto. Now, Pluto in modern astrology is the ruler of Scorpio, and Mars and Pluto, they're similar in energy, but Pluto basically intensifies Mars. So your drive and ambitions and what you want to put your energy towards, that's going to intensify. And what I'm getting is that this energy can actually give you a lot of momentum, but also because it is in fixed sign, Scorpio and Pluto in Aquarius, a lot of determination and grit to go after what it is that you need to go after next to reach, to get closer to your goals. So you might, feel maybe even like a subconscious compulsion to do certain things. Just there's like an inner tension that rises up and wants to be expressed. And then during this time, the sun on the 22nd, actually on the same day that Mars moves into Scorpio, the sun enters Libra, and Libra seasons begin. And on this day, you actually have Sun, Mercury, and the moon all in Libra, bringing a lot of focus and attention to your 7th house. So relationships, one-to-one connections become a big focus for you for the remaining of the month. And I think that's all I have for you for September's forecast. I'll probably be back with some weekly forecasts. You can also find me on my Instagram or TikTok where I do transit videos as well. Thanks for your attention. I hope you have a great month. Bye.